Talk, I'll be in the bar. Not for long.
Hey, Rolando. Check.
Hey, buddy. Hey, is that a nip right there? It's gotta be, right?
Apparently, it's kind of a personal fishing thing. Well, I can't drive about 250 shots a week, so, 2 dose.
Yeah. And he will be having a Chardonnay well brand and I'll have a glass of house. When I talked to you about Davis and Lynn, you were ready to take the job. Now you're back and you're saying you're quitting the law? Cheating hotels and expensive vehicles? You know? Asking me out. Where did that come from?
Cicero has nothing to do with it.
We need an expert. This guy sounds like he knows. Inheritance, you know what we're saying.
One egg, one basket. Right? Same principle.
Oh, makes complete sense. Thank you.
Now, if I had an idea of the money we're talking about, ballpark, I could give you examples of smart diversification.
Yeah, look, an uncle on our father's side recently passed, and he left us somewhere in the neighborhood of 1.4. And I don't mean to be greedy, but I think if we invested smart now, we could double it, triple it, we could quadruple the whole inheritance, right?
In my opinion, working favors a bold man. Now, if you guys are free to join me for a drink, I can give you a quick consult.
That's all right. We're gonna do that.
All right. So, and you're being right back.
My toothbrush is different.
Why is it different?
Because.
Daniel Warmo, I'm Officer Baker. This is Officer Saxton.
Yeah, please, come on in. Come in. It's over here. See what they did? I mean, all gone. All of them. Just,
What's all gone?
I had a baseball card collection. A major.
Maybe a humidifier? Gets kind of dry in here.
Omar, I'm pretty low maintenance.
Sure. Well, is there anything you need? I'm right outside the door.
Great. I think of anything.
Good.
Coordinated through HHM. To date, the following documents have been requested from Sandpiper as part of our initial discovery petition. 1, resident lease agreements, past and present, from all Sandpiper locations. 4, any and all business agreements.
I'm not here as a criminal. I'm here as a crime victim. Just because I occasionally sell some pharmaceutical.
You already made the report. Why are you here?
They called me. They have a few more questions. They are very dedicated to finding this thief.
Conversation. And this blinking in there on the side of the vehicle that says drug dealer. They suspect you. They will get you in there, pretend to be your friend, lull you into a false sense of security. And
Here's your head. You play?
Oh, I tried to read
roughly 60,000.
How exactly does that work?
Santa Fe, and I spent the whole afternoon sorting through just a haystack of recipes and half-off pieces.
Jimmy. Hello?
I'll be in my office.
Why are you here? Bear witness.
Who among us is without sin? But those sins are all the right. Oh, no, he is. And those are thoughts. You really love him. You want to win more. It's all in my personal sin. It's between we're all in that. It's the part. Okay, you two guys are cops? Hoboken Squad Copper. Full moon pie. Boston cream slab. Seriously? Simple sign in the ass, man. Dutch apple ass. Guys, am I not speaking English here? What the hell is squad? It's when a man sits in pie. He sits in a pie. And he wiggles around.
Maybe it's like Hellman's mayonnaise. There's a different name west of the Rockies. I don't know.
Technically, he does a crybaby squat, so there's tiers, which makes it more specialized. Not all pie sitters cry. But trust me on this. You don't want to see it.
There is, however, one thing.
Yeah.
My name's Jimmy. I tried to visit you at Sandpiper, but they wouldn't.
And all made in accordance with the rules and regulations of the American Bar Association.
I can't believe Davison, Maine went for it.
Associate, so I'm locked up with Kiko. He's looking for the guy that put it.
Well, what is known is it did happen. He did enjoy this food. And he was popular. And basically everything that he enjoyed ended up becoming popular in his empire, especially in Austria, which was kind of the part of the empire at the time. And so it became one of the most popular dishes to have around, so popular that it is still served in many, many restaurants in Vienna and in all of Austria today, where it is usually going in this condiment. Now, most modern fish sauces have even a higher salinity, 25 to 35% in some cases. Of luxury travel in Europe was the Orient Express, and that is in no small part due to the exquisite cuisine served aboard the train, like these lamb cutlets fried in butter. We ride the Orient Express, this time tasting history. The Orient Express is probably the most famous train in history, though it wasn't actually just one train, but a long-distance railway service that operated numerous trains, all part of the Compagnie Nationale des Wagons, or International Sleeping Car Company. Running from Paris to Constantinople, the aspect of the journey was the food being served. Now, starting in the 1890s and going up really all the way till World War II, the menus on the Orient Express and the other trains operated by the company really heavily relied on the recipes of Auguste Escoffier, at least when they were operating the trains near Paris. They included some of his iconic dishes like lobster thermidor, peach melba, or Duchess potatoes. So, to make these Duchess potatoes, Escoffier says to start off with a croquette mixture, for which you will need 2.5 pounds or a little more than 1 kilogram of russet potatoes, 7 tablespoons or 100 grams of butter, 2 teaspoons of salt, plus more for the water that we're going to boil the potatoes in. Also, once you've piped them, you want them to be even firmer, so put them into the refrigerator for about an hour or so, uncovered, and this will let them be firm enough so that you can brush on some melted butter without ruining all of the... The origin of the Orient Express actually begins in America, where in 1867 a Belgian civil engineer, Georges Navimatos, rode in one of the new Pullman train cars, which were the pinnacle of contrast to the sorrow of parking seen on their faces. And the dining car wasn't just the restaurant, but it also had a drawing room for the ladies with wonderful plush velvet chairs, and then a library/smoking room for the men that had leather armchairs and bookcases filled with books, maps, and newspapers, which were swapped in and out at each country they passed through. The dining room itself, lit by gaslight chandeliers, was furnished with wall tapestries, silk draped by Parisian or London hotel restaurants of the day. And because of the international nature of the train, the staff in the early years were expected to speak multiple languages. Usually it was French, German, and English, or Italian, and sometimes other languages like Turkish. In fact, in 1894, it was said that collectively the entire staff on the train could speak 50 different languages and dialects. Now, the kitchen staff on the train usually were all French, and they worked in some of the best French hotel restaurants that Paris had to offer before getting courted and working on the train. And they all worked under the chef de cuisine. And in October of 1883, someone wrote of the genius of how this chef put together the menu, because lunch could be 7 to 10 courses, and it was supposedly so excellent that if you were going to eat dinner before you actually get on the train, and that is when you are leaving Istanbul to head back to Paris, because there was no diner car when it left Istanbul. The diner car didn't actually meet up with it until it got to Bulgaria, so just in time for breakfast, so make sure to eat before you get on the Bible. Unfortunately, the Germans used that same dining car in a bit of spite in 1940 when they demanded, well, that is the second and most glorious golden age of the Orient Express. And in the 1990s, with the modern Art Deco interiors that would come to be so iconic, and this was the train that featured in Agatha Christie's Murder on the Orient Express. Now, when she published that book, there had never been a murder on the Orient Express, but I guess she jinxed it, because only about a year after she published it, in 1935, somebody was murdered. It was a wealthy Romanian fashion designer. She was robbed and pushed out the window and found on the side of the tracks a little while later. Now, 2 years after she published her novel, another novelist, Beverly, wrote of actual experience on the train, and while it didn't include any murder, it did include lunch. A bell tinkles in the corridor of the Orient Express. Lunch. We get up with hunger gnawing at our inside, filled with delight at the prospect of eating crisp rolls and potato mayonnaise, and veal and petit pois. So I don't know if they make these exact Auguste Escoffier recipes that I found. They'll start to burn on the outside before it's totally cooked all the way through. And you don't really want any char or anything like that. You want it tender all the way through. So flavorful. They're so small. They're absolutely wonderful. So they can have your on a true fermented gout. It's not hot. So what exactly is garum? Well, one 7th century author, Isidore of Seville, said garum is a salted liquid of fish, which formerly was made from the fish that the Greeks called gyros. And although it is now made from an infinite variety of fish, it retains the original name that it had. Begin. But I feel Isidore had never actually seen the product being made, because yes, it is a salted liquid of fish, but it's how you get to that product that is so interesting. Now, the Roman poet Marcus Manilius, he did write about the process of taking fish and salt and putting them in a terracotta vat, and then what I ended up getting, 8 pounds of it, and then 1 pound of the finest Italian sea salt that I could find. Then I thought of a liquid that you'd see flowing out of a sewer pipe. Now, does that look nasty? Yes, it does. But what was shocking was the odor, or rather lack thereof. It did smell. It had a very strong smell, but it smelled like a fish market. Nostrils when you smell something fermented. So I think that I knew that I had done something right. So I soldiered on. I had put in 2 months of work, and I wasn't about to give up. Amber-colored liquid, that liquamen, which is close woven basket, is inserted into the center of the jar containing these fish, and the liquid flows into the basket. So while some of this may overlap with that original video, most everything is actually new information. So why garum? Why were the ancient Romans and the ancient Greeks just obsessed with this fish? But the most prized versions were actually made from squid, and it turns out that garum too could be made with seafood other than fish. Garum could also be flavored with different herbs like oregano. There's actually a recipe attributed to garum. Inferior garum. I confess it, I should not have been sent to. So that makes it seem that you sent this in. Inferior garum, not because you couldn't afford the garum sulphurum, but rather if you had got the good garum, you would have kept it for yourself. Yet even while garum was prized, some calling it the most noble of liquor, its pungency made it for an easy hunchback to eat. Without more. Nor do sweet meats please you, or slices of cake. This is friend Flaccus. You are a man of iron, Flaccus. If you are able to make love to a woman after she has had 6 helpings of garum. Garum was simply designed to shied away. Connell and his treatise on agriculture wrote, great care must be taken by the man in charge who feeds the bees who can handle the hives. At the day before poke fun at garum, it's clear that they also love the stuff because they're all the spoon. And when he says too little used by our forefathers, he surely isn't meaning those people who lived during the Roman Republic and early empire because garum was everywhere. But by the end of the 2nd century, garum factories had begun to dwindle in the Roman Empire. People probably began having to make it at home or not use it at all as an ingredient. But by the end of the Roman Empire, we see it mostly being used as a medicine. It's found in numerous medical texts going back for centuries, and it could be used backed up. Garum was a go-to laxative. Again, the bowels are moved by leavened bread, fat small birds, snails, garum, pickled fish, and about 50. A whole other particular horse is having too much left. Then pouring garum into the horse's nostril will help alleviate that problem. But garum never lost. The 1st century physician Joe Scortides really fanboyed over the stuff, saying that they could treat and garum fly represses gangrenous ulcers in the cheeks, heals those bitten by dogs, and is sometimes given as a suppository for dysentery. It is not here.
The more you're removing, the less fun and easy this is. It's just, you know, it calculates the squeezing as to how much squeezing it squeezes. That's not good. We don't have the wheels for it because they're being reconditioned. So, we don't know what to do. And the front of the car is going to go in our sweet cromulent quality engine hoist. Well, we're going to have to clean all this up though, because it's going to be stock rock central for those wheels. Oh no, gee. The reservoir is dry. So we don't know where that cord's gone, so I swear it needs that kind of straight through. You know, something that's a bit rough.
I can only think that it's compression locked it or something. I don't know.
It's weird.
Follow the instructions.
Yeah, that's it. Like valves or that.
tried it, but the question actually never appears in the wizard. I couldn't figure out why this was, so I ran through it a couple more times. I picked OSR2, it never asked the question. I picked regular, it never asked the question. I picked upgrade, there it is. That's the question that we saw in the manual. I'm not exactly sure why it needs you to use the upgrade version. I don't think this is documented in the manual, but okay, let's give it a shot. I'll roll back the hard drive image and we'll try this again. So I picked it together with other OSs, but the instructions here tell me to boot into my existing Windows 3.x installation. So I can't do this with DOS, apparently.
The D-pad's kind of small. It's hard to individually choose one rather than do diagonal. I don't think it's a size issue, but no, the Steam Deck's D-pad is not going to be amazing. Do you want to play around with SteamOS at all? SteamOS? What's SteamOS? SteamOS is the operating system that Valve developed. Sure. You can use it in desktop mode with other applications, but it's actually Linux-based. It is not Windows or Nintendo. It is their own. So you've got the Steam button here, which allows you to access all of Steam. And see, if you're running lighter games like Dave the Diver, and it will instantly suspend and resume like something like a Nintendo, rather than taking a back to the script. You may be familiar with this one. The draw of the ROG Ally is the inclusion of AMD's Z1 Extreme processor. The chip devices that we've got today are linked in the video description. This one, the story for the screen is a bit more complicated. It's 1080p, so higher resolution with the Steam Deck performance mode. You won't get much battery life out of the higher performance mode, but hey, it's really fast. Okay, let's try turbo. You're gonna get like an hour of battery life. Oh, well, those are paddles, so you can bind them to any functions that you want. In fact, a lot of the ones we've looked at so far do have rear paddles. One of them smoother and higher FPS than the other one we played, Breath of the Wild one. Yes. It's also in the highest mode. It's an extremely powerful system, even so. I think that's oh, I didn't even notice that. That's why I'm here. For the tech tips. Talk of tech tips. At this point, seeing all this FPS mode, that becomes a mouse. But that's something. That's there over there. So you can see performance and you can change your modes and all that. This menu's larger than the game. Okay, that's fair. I would like to change gears completely and go from artist. Have you ever used it? No. Okay, well, it doesn't have AB. Well, which one confirms and which one goes? Can't remember. Okay. Look at the visual fidelity, though. Okay, you haven't actually tried the Switch 2 yet, but here it is. Like, look at the detail level by comparison. Another great thing about the Portal is Sony's amazing game library. But here's the thing. While this has the best battery life also out of anything we've tested, the reason is that there's no game console. It is streaming right. Yeah, it's especially nice when you remove the Joy-Cons and you're using them in Joy-Con controller mode. Like it's actually unusable also. It's sick. The Joy-Cons are magnetic now. Oh, you just wow. That's really funny. Do you want to hear any drawbacks yet, or do you just want to enjoy it first? Just enjoy it first. Okay. That's fair.
Once again, there weren't any MP3 players that plugged into your home stereo at this point, and, well, if you just dropped $1,000 on this thing, it didn't make sense to just leave it sitting idle just because you weren't driving at the moment, and you were definitely going to bring it into the house to keep it safe and manage your library, so if it's there, you might as well use it. And to its credit, the MPEG is designed for that. On the back, we've got a standard 2.1mm barrel jack that takes nominal 12 volts. Consumer audio gear typically produces at most 2 volts at max volume on its line outputs. These ones go up to 4, and I'm not sure why. It means if you run this into a typical stereo amplifier and turn it up, you'll start distorting at about half volume. And that's not a huge problem.
Oh, hey, Julie, come on in.
I've got those sandpaper documents.
Great.
Yes. Well, you want to come out of there?
No, I'm staying.
Well, you want me to come in there?
The gentleman would like me to let you know that your next trick's on him. Just let me know when you're ready.
Some way for people to hook up with each other using the internet?
And you never expected this kind of
Look, I'm sure you're a nice guy, but she's talking out of school. We're full up on this. Oh, okay. You sign one more investor, we gotta get No, we cannot take anyone else on. No offense. Oh, it's okay. Yeah. No worries.
Toward the end of the video, Ryan argued that his low self-esteem also contributed to his bad behavior. Not surprisingly, Ryan's apology video was not well received. Many people believe that he was not truly sorry, minimized the effect of his deception, and tried to make excuses for his behavior.
How do you fit the jacket? Or the jacket fits you?
Kim Wexler is indeed the right choice to handle Mesa Verde. She's the obvious choice. She's young, she's brilliant, she's going places. Let's face it.
Oh, I know, the Community Reinvestment Act. Any bank such as Mesa Verde looking to open a de novo branch is definitely going to need to show a healthy portfolio of CRA compliance. Why, you should consider, once again, enlisting a team of professionals.
Why don't we do this?
Anytime. We are there for you, day and night. Lovely to meet you, Paige.
And you, thank you.
Talk soon, gentlemen.
Chuck, that.
It's a dentist's office. 2 offices for 2 dentists, each the exact same size with a mirrored layout. Here, the other one is the next door over, right beside this one, right here. But they share one lobby, one reception area, so the egalitarian.
I envy you guys. I mean, the stories must have heard. You remember any good ones?
Fun stuff. Like the war.
Did he fly over the hump or did he take off out of India? He's the one? Oh. Yeah, we got more. I'll go back to the office. Again, contact his office. If you want, okay, sir? Right, no rush. It's gonna be fun. I'll be back. you enough to say anything. So stand up. No, whatever. How's your friends? I think we're yeah, they grow on trees. So this guy owes me. I spent him around back when we couldn't pay. What, you want to be a lawyer when you grow up? Just fix the problem. Tolerable. Keep your voice down. You do not possess the power of speech. Okay, let's go. Chop, chop, chop. You're inside, see this? What? All right. Give me a plug me number.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Where's Ernesto? He was supposed to stay with me.
Don't get mad at Ernie. He spent the better part of the day watching you do your impression of a baked potato. He told me to go home and get some shut-eye. You hungry?
Smarter than I was when I was your age.
Maybe you needed better teachers.
That could be.
Can I do the gel now? You promised.
I did, didn't I?
Qué lindo es tu tucú, tan bello tucú, redondito y suavecito, qué lindo es tucú.
No. No. Chuck. I don't understand. I don't understand. It was 12:16. It was. I checked. I double-checked.
Chuck, it happened. Now we take our licks and we move on. This doesn't just reflect on you, an office full of associates and paralegals.
How are you? Yeah, I know, it's fine. Well, yes, of course. Right, I understand. Okay. Yeah, that would be perfect. I'll do that. Okay, and that's the page. Thank you. Okay. I believe you did.
Look, I understand that you have a great affection for Ginny. A great many people do. But please open your eyes
You
here.
made a mistake, and instead of just facing up to it, you accuse your brother of plotting against you. You come up with this elaborate...
Glance yourself. Here? Yeah, right there. About yay high. Aim it up at me.
I was wrong. The car was in Boston.
They ran it with no oil, and the top end is basically the first part of the engine to suffer with no oil. So this exhaust camshaft got stuck in the head, so it froze right here. And what happened is this spun, so this is pressed on and bolted on, but you cannot service it, you can't fix anything on this cam. Now, because Joe was able to remove the valve cover gasket to diagnose this car for me, I was able to get parts shipped out. So this is a Volkswagen camshaft. It comes with the adjuster, it's brand new, and we can see the issues. So this is definitely not a situation where you so nice and clean, and make sure you're getting these over as possible because of the filters and oil is top up the filters and bars and stuff like that. This is just to save the life reason exhaust and shut down completely. I can see you also dry frozen and stuff like that. Take areas out of the I'm pretty much this. So I'm going to so take lubricate and inspect all of these bars and so the oil and so you have to process it. You know, the oil inspector will just go. So I'm saying that when I see that, there's anything and they want anything else, just don't expect it. You'll do these nice and shit, but that's really nice and do a little bit here. And so it doesn't allow for top of the kit. Just like how there's well clear. So you know, really something a minute like well and so I can't for it to be here. Also clear. It's not pretty full. You are stuff. I sure like we're now. You know, interiors are quite nice. It's not clean things out. They leave those alone. So some chains are actually better when they're original. So the cheap chains that they're making now would have been worse than the old school bulletproof V12 Mercedes chain. I bought a new one to measure it against the old one. It was identical. Mercedes diesels are like this as well, where the timing is with the panel snugged up. We have the bridge. It needs to go on. No gasket. It's just metal grind here. This just needs a little shim sometimes. There we go. We want to make sure this gets pushed in all the way, and we have a few wonder bolts to get in there. New one for the exhaust cam, and we're reusing the one for the intake cam because they've changed the design slightly. And we'll tighten these guys back up. So next we have the top cover. It's made of plastic, and we got a new seal. And we have the harness back on, so these coils clip in right here, but they also have a ground for the bolts. And we got everything else to line up to like that. Oh yeah, nice. We got our low pressure feed hose going on like that. Satisfying Volkswagen click. That's over here.
But actually, for the most part, it was just dusty, not infested. These plastic bits, oh, fuck me, I just touched this furry shit in the back. It's just dust, but god damn, I hated doing that. While looking at it didn't tell me much, I realized there was another way to confirm if there was something wrong with the power supply. I mean, I just happen to have two other PS3s with working power supplies that I can swap in and see what happens. Or so I thought. So apparently this plug in the front is different between two power supplies. So assuming the power supply was an unlikely culprit anyway, I decided to just leave it and move on. I also figured I should check out the Blu-rays on it too. Once again, okay, so everything has been cleaned. Most of the bug carcasses are gone, but there's still areas that need a lot more care and attention. So I cleaned these areas off with a lot of alcohol, as well as some isopropyl alcohol for the board, and then went ahead reflowing any joints I could see that looked corroded. I also figured while I was here, I may as well replace the thermal paste too. Honestly, I was very much stabbing in the dark, just hoping something here was the problem and would be fixed by the reflowing. Unfortunately, after doing this for hours, pretty much all over the floor, constantly monitors its state for errors, especially during startup. The PS3 system controller, or syscon, logs these errors, and this log can be accessed externally with a simple serial connection on PSDevWiki. For our purposes, we can ignore the A and 0 at the start. The next two digits represent the startup step that the error occurred on, ranging from 0 to hex 80. Since these all say 80, that means that it suggests I honestly didn't even know if I'd be able to do that with the equipment and expertise I had available. However, I also realized we must clear error 102 and have more this There are some high-points capacitor error because the calculation and slide needs to be NG. We know the NC to install obviously, and they can't find the Xbox clock capacitor of PS3. Comes as SLB can improve board technology, but it's starting to fail on that one of those common issues with PS3 today. PSDevWiki says that by making our involved filtering and could cause 102, there's very much points to the NC limits. I had a sneaky suspicion that the HMI error is actually error account, or at least a system rather than cause of some kind of major power issue. With this, I have no reason to anyway, I dive straight into pressing the NC support. But I'm still not super experienced with stuff like this, and I couldn't really seem to get anywhere. The PS3 board is very thick and infamous for being able to quickly dissipate heat. Eventually the capacitor started coming apart, so I just picked away at it, which is actually one of the recommended ways of removing these things. Yeah, as we learned from the Wii's capacitors, often the easiest ways to remove surface mount components is by destroying them. Paradoxically, another issue started to rear its ugly head. Uh-oh. Hang on. I turned it off. Since it had never been on for that long before, I'd gotten into the habit of not bothering to install the heatsink clamps, meaning after about a minute on, the CPU was starting to overheat. So I'll just reinstall heatsink clamps, right? Well, here's reason number 2 why you might want to keep at least some of the original AC tokens. These Canon caps aren't just long, they're also significantly thicker than the original caps. Specifically the CPU caps. The GPU caps actually do fit fine because the GPU doesn't require quite as much capacitance. That means the structure is flush on board because the new caps are flush. But I'll just hold to the case. Now we install clamps and we're all good, right? Well, no. Actually, this isn't just an issue with the top shell, it's also an issue with the bottom shell, where the board actually makes contact with the heatsink. Meaning the how the heatsink was spread, or specifically how it wasn't, the CPU definitely didn't make contact with the heatsink. This was unfortunate because the bottom shell, the heatsink is a story entirely. I don't know if I could this thick metal even if I wanted to. So I had to think of something else to do. I thought, well, if it was slightly too high, maybe I could clean up my solder and as flush the board as possible, and as far as the CPU is possible, maybe that would fix it. But sadly it didn't. It was still falling off the CPU cooling. I was stuck here for a while. It seemed like there was just no good way to solve this problem. At this point, I really was wishing that I had kept the original CPU caps on the bottom, especially since the CPU didn't seem to even be the problem. All the errors were GPU related, and it's not like I could restore the caps but also completely cleared the bottom chip. That's how we cast the I had no idea well, it is well, this all felt a bit too high to me, but I looked at some online statistics, and while these are obviously completely anecdotal, it does seem to suggest that some boards do well. I don't think this was one that also didn't point that all the time. I wish I had one last trick. No, I'm thinking that yeah, this is all the original. This is used in more like substance, whereas the it has just a little bit more pressure. It is just that little more. And also using this pressure. You understand that pressure could be bad, but I shouldn't be safe. It's the pressure ability to support the pressure. Was that okay? Amazingly, yeah, when it comes to board, apply up 10 degrees Celsius, and as you burn out towards 250 hours, you can see 5 years old in your hand. The official goal is easily fixed. Pull that from your death, that's easily reuse. Ingredients. Salary 700 and this is what you so if you did it, we get plus the plus it's still it's pretty easy. It's going to the whole system. Use control and use the Ja, Gedanke. While I was still experimenting and getting things set up, I wanted something cheap and fairly low risk. And the FX 5200 is about as dime a dozen as you can get for EGP. We'll see how well it does at the time. I just didn't have two matching sticks at the time, and while I intended to get some, I ended up getting distracted by how broken everything was. Also, I could only find two 512 sticks, so we will need to configure 98 to limit the memory since more than 512 is known to make 98 unstable. Besides that, everything else is the same. Same SSD, Blu-ray drive, case, all that. So without further ado, let's get to building. During this time, I'll address something a lot of people mentioned on my last video, the heatsink. I put it on backwards. I have no excuse for this. I guess my caveman brain assumed fan meant air go this way, but upon further inspection it definitely does not, so my bad. We'll get them next time. And with the magic of editing, there we have it. The important question is, does it work? Well, does it? Nope. Which I kind of expected, where I mentioned how my computer will almost never work the first try. Yeah, it's kind of like programming. It's almost suspicious if it does work the first time. I checked all the usual suspects, received memory, the graphics card, and the 12-volt power rail. This one actually has integrated graphics, so I tried that too, but nothing was getting it to boot. God, wouldn't it suck if I spent this long waiting for this specific motherboard and it just turned out to be dead? But as I was looking things up about this motherboard, I spotted something. Something I probably should have seen a long time ago. A list of compatible CPUs for this motherboard. And guess what? The E8600 was nowhere on it. Well, I talked about this deck cable in the last video, actually. Well, you know, it's technically true that not every computer can run this because it's 16-bit, so, you know, most modern computers won't. Funnily enough, even though I know this game is famous, I never really played it growing up. I was always more of a pinball kid. Speaking of which... Okay, I know. While these are very much iconic games of the era, they aren't pushing limits of any kind. Let's stretch out to some real games of the era. Long-time viewers know I wouldn't be being true to myself if I didn't start at this point. That's right, the one and only. As someone who's to the island just crashes the game, so yeah, I don't think this will work. Well, back to Halo then. It actually seems to work pretty much perfectly. I was really curious about joining an online match. 6800 Ultra, the last NVIDIA card to officially support Windows 98. On videocardbenchmark.net, the 6800 Ultra scores rare AGP 6800 showed up in my country. I couldn't believe it. It wasn't cheap, but I knew it was the last piece of the puzzle as far as making this computer as powerful as it could be. It arrived, I installed it, it booted up, and it runs like shit. In fact, it looks exactly the same, which means I guess it can't